Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the L3D Cube. This is an 8x8x8 LED cube designed by Looking Glass, a group that launched this, I believe, on Kickstarter roughly a few years ago as the first volumetric display. In other words, think hologram or a holographic display, but designed with LEDs. And as you can see, beyond being 8x8x8, 512 RGB LEDs are inside this. It is expensive. It is a kit. You will need to assemble this. It does not come with any, need to actually do any soldering, so it's fairly simple to put together, and I think the end product is pretty unique. Let me start by getting it out of the box, and I'll explain exactly what you might be doing with this, and eventually I'll update everyone with how I'm using mine and what it looks like as a finished product. Box is fairly straightforward. You can see this one came from the MoMA store, upper left corner. That's one of the places that you can buy it. I'm not sure how many other retailers actually carry it. They were, or are, I should say, a startup still in Brooklyn, I believe. And the product is made in China. Let me go ahead and crack this thing open. And I did receive this as a gift, and it is really an incredibly cool device. And I know a lot of people out there will say, oh, I can build my own. Well, if you want to build your own, build your own. If you want a finished product that actually has a network and software that is open source built around it right now with their CubeTube website, where you can download and share different programming. If you don't want to do any programming, you can just download different creations for what your Wi-Fi enabled 3D Cube can do. So you can see right here, marketing immediately, get started in 10 seconds, plug in your cube, play the demos, because it does have a demo reel, and then you can connect to Wi-Fi and download new apps, program your cube to do all sorts of different things. So this is really good for just about anyone, whether you just want something like this to act as a piece of art, or if you want it to be incredibly functional and you want to get hands-on and actually start programming it to do different things, whether reacting to music, representing just about anything you want with 512 RGB LEDs. And we've got the entire build instructions. I would tell you I'm going to do a time lapse of the build, but I'm not going to, in all likelihood. Don't have that much time on my hands. But the creators of this product do have a video online showing that it can be done in 30 minutes, and I think if you follow their directions, it's completely plausible based on what I've seen. So we have acrylic plastic for the cube enclosure, and then, hitting the camera as I show you this. Beyond the acrylic, let's see what lies beneath. It looks like we're looking at all of the LED strips. So think of something like Philips Hue light strips, but deconstructed. And of course, you can buy these yourselves. We've got a lot of packages of them. As you would imagine, 512 lights in total. So let me go ahead and dig these guys out. Then we have our actual micro USB connection, because even though this does have Wi-Fi and everything, and you can, of course, download things remotely in terms of programming through the app, it still does need to be connected at various times. We've got a power plug for the wall, little wall wart action. Not put these on top of the LEDs. And then we have what appears to be the board, the bottom. This is where all the action happens. Again, open source. I believe it's Linux-based. And you do have iOS and Android applications. And as I mentioned before, the CubeTube website that gives you access to the community's creations for the L3D. And the volumetric, for those of you wondering what the volumetric idea is born out of, I mentioned these are the screws, obviously, to put together the cube, is born out of the concept of, as I mentioned earlier, holograms, 3D displays, rather than having flat displays like we're accustomed to, televisions, LCD monitors, how we interpret our data, media. Here we could have more, we could have a three-dimensional representation rather than what we're accustomed to. So I know the developers talked about MRIs being viewed in this way. Of course, they're not at the visual quality that they'd like to be. They started in volumetric printing, taking still images and printing them in layers. And then that was what sparked the idea of if they could get the quality of the image that these cubes could represent, up to par with what we're accustomed to putting our eyes on, then you have something that's really dynamic and interesting. And for most, this will be more a piece of art, conversation piece, but it could be the beginning, who knows, of a direction in the future where we will see a lot more displays out there that will be volumetric rather than flat. So again, the developers talked about MRIs, doctors being able to look at them in 3D using a display of this nature. Do I understand and can I imagine what they're proposing? Of course. But what we're looking at here, what I'm going to be assembling, is a version of it in its infancy, to say the least. But still very cool, and looking forward to putting this together. Great gift, and of course you will all be seeing it when it's finally assembled. We'll see what I can actually do with it. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.